Well, hell yeah, dude. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, other than having like a 39% win rate versus Terran.
No worries. That's
Bad.
we're gonna coach you right now, real good, and you're gonna come back to me
That
next week
sounds
and be
great.
like, I have a 30% win rate now, vibe, almost 29.
Yeah, there you go. The perfect direction to go.
Yeah. So, what have you been trying to make work lately against Terran?
I was doing Ling Bling, but I found that mutas were significantly too much to micro, and I just decided to go back to using Hydra Ling Bane, and it was fine.
Well, what part of Diamond are you in? Out of curiosity.
Uh, uh, in actual capacity, around 3,300, but I've ranked in Diamond 2. I'll put ranked in quotations.
Okay. No, I would definitely say don't do mutas then. Like mutas, if you're in Diamond at all, I would say 4K plus only. Mutas
Oh
are
yeah,
definitely going to be way more attention to detail, and they're so easy to
yeah.
lose. Uh,
If you well, whoops, I ran into a couple mines and
yeah,
like
exactly.
five
Or you just
held
fly
it.
over like 30 Marines with stim pack, and you're like, wait, where did my mutas go? Wait, what? So no, I totally feel you, man. That's happened to me plenty of times. Um,
Also, one of the things I didn't like about playing mutas is I didn't like how they were kind of irritating to transition out of.
sure.
It, it felt like the only real thing that I could do is transition into like ultras and infestors, but that's like even more control that I don't want to do.
Sure. No, I mean, yeah, definitely. I think Mutiling Bane is definitely going to be one of the most micro-intensive builds you can do against Terran for Zerg. And also pairing that with how much macro you have to do, it's kind of a lot. It's definitely pretty
Yes.
overwhelming. So,
Yeah, I noticed that. I looked at like a lot of the replays that I had been playing when I was doing mutiling baneling, and I was noticed that my macro would completely fall apart, and it was
yeah,
just terrible.
no, for sure.
0
So,
out of 10.
I would
Wouldn't
say
recommend.
I would say realistically, you have like two other options. That would be a lot easier to do. And one of those options would be Roach Ravager, which is actually like a much more approachable style you can do, and it can turn into something that can transition well late game because it turns into Lurker with like Lurker Hydra. Another style you can do is Ling Bane Hydra into once again Lurker.
Yeah, that's what I've been rocking with to some degree of limited success.
Okay, so you're Ling Bane Hydra.
Yeah, Ling Bane into Hydra.
Okay, and you want to keep doing that?
Lurkers afterwards. Yes.
Okay,
I
so
would like to. I have a replay with actual questions to field to you regarding the specific replay and
sure,
like conceptually in general.
sounds good. Just send it to me on Discord, and I'll open it up on StarCraft. And then that way I can share my screen with you, and then you can see what I'm looking at through the screen, and it'll be much easier for you to follow what I'm doing.
Sounds great. Let me move my Discord and grab the file. My computer is struggling right now. Oh my god, where is it? Piece of dog crap. There it is. I just sent it in the call
Okay.
chat.
All right. So let's break this down. And yeah, feel free, even if I'm in mid sentence and I'm explaining something, feel free to interrupt me and ask the question first. So that way, you're not just feeling like you're like, your legs are shaking. You're like, come on, vibe, hurry the fuck up and finish your sentence, because it'll never happen. I will talk the whole time.
Forever. until the literal end.
Exactly, dude. I like, if you don't say anything, I will speak until the end of this lesson and be like, how'd that sound? You good? And you'll be like, oh, what? Watch the VOD.
I didn't follow anything that you said.
Yeah, no, so it's all good. All right, so we'll take a look at your opener and make sure like things look clean for Ling Bane Hydra, and make sure you're not like putting yourself behind for no reason. Stuff like that. But before I really get into it, do you have any question that you want to ask beforehand, or you want to ask during?
Actually, one of them is going to be like specifically to the early game like type of responses. What should I be trying to look for when I'm trying to steer towards me? Actually, there was a freaking question that I forgot to throw in there. I'm gonna write it down before I actually forget. But what should my early game responses be if I see some like shenanigans?
So
like one base or pseudo two base shenanigans.
Sure. Okay. So what I would there's like you're talking about like proxy racks. You're talking about Reaper pressure. You're talking about like anything that's like going to be aggressive really fast, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
just to clarify, so basically the way this build works is the macro version of it is you're gonna rip off gas before you even have speed started, for the macro version. If
Completely?
like no, like I'll explain it as we get there. It's just one.
Okay.
It's one drone. But if your opponent does not show you anything that looks out of order and he looks very standard, you can then rip off gas. So sorry, I said the same thing twice.
Excuse me.
Macro is you rip one off. Like if you scout macro, you rip one off. If there is no macro and it's aggressive, you leave 3 on.
Define what you mean by macro. Like,
You see a command
talking
center.
about, like,
You see a
macro
command center at the
version?
natural.
Yeah. Okay.
So your overlord, like, because you're going to be mining with 3 up until this point. So your overlord gets to the natural, and you're like, ah, cool, yeah, he's expanded and he's playing standard and he's doing his normal fucking thing. Then you're good to go. But if the Terran player is showing you there's some bullshit that's awry, and you're like, wait, what is going on? Definitely like go to 3 on the gas, and you get speed ASAP. And then once you have speed, I would highly recommend you rip off 2 off the gas at that point and leave 1 on to slowly add on the possibility of roaches or banes if you need to. But then having Queen Ling is going to be amazing at defending like a lot of the bullshit that Terran can do to you really fast. So we'll talk about it as we get there more about how to physically do the gas. And this is kind of basing it off of the fact that we're assuming you're going for something standard like 17 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. Something like that.
The exact build order, actually.
Sure, cool.
It's 16, yes. 16 hatchery.
Nice.
Just because I do 16 hatch in the other 2 matchups, I felt that it was asinine to make stupid, arbitrary change for no specific reason.
That's fine. That's 16 hatch, 17 hatch. Honestly, works just fine against Terran. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And you're going the big ones. You're going 18 gas, 17 pool. So
Yes.
I like that a lot. And now, as we go forward, you're making your drones. You fully saturated your main. Now against Terran specifically, do not.
Are you sharing your screen right now? Because
am I not? Sure. I'm so sorry. I thought I was. My bad.
Do I need?
Sorry, I literally just did a coaching lesson before this as well, and I shared my screen there too, and I for some reason thought I had already done it again. So my bad, dude.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay,
Yes,
so
we
you see my mouse moving, you see everything, you're all good.
I do.
Sorry.
I'm a full screen this.
Okay, so
for the sake of my viewers.
Yeah, you haven't missed anything yet. We've just been talking, but now we're gonna start talking about specifics on the screen. So your overlord is almost to his base, and you haven't even started mining gas yet, which is correct. This is how it should go. So what's going to happen is I want you to always have a mineral priority over a gas priority against Terran, because your build is going to not be a 2 base all in. It's not going to be a 1 base all in. So never take
We're still going to go to at least 4 bases by like 6 minutes.
Yeah, you're going to be macro and hard. It's going to be pretty fucking greedy. So this is correct how you've done it so far, and just rally. You can just literally rally just exactly how you are. Rally the new 3 eggs to this, and you're going to rally egg number 20. So 20 supply. So it's you're gonna have 16, 3, and then 20 for the final drone is gonna go to here. You're gonna rally it straight to the 3rd.
Happy because that's exactly what I'm gonna do in this game.
Perfect. That's good. That's how you should be opening for the very set baseline of it.
Right.
And then now you're gonna mine roughly about 50 to 60 gas, and you're gonna be getting really close to that command center from the opponent's natural. So we're gonna speed it up a little bit. And now right here. This is the tricky part, okay? What I would want you to do is every single game, I want you to rip a drone off of the gas right about now. Like between 50 to 60. Yes. Just one drone. Chances are, like 80% of the time, you're going to be playing someone who at least goes for 1 max expand. So, and this is really good against 1 max expand. There's only some maps that you might get there earlier on, like maybe, what the fuck is it called? It's the one where like you both spawn in bottom left, bottom right. It is.
Beckett Industries.
It's not Beckett. It's the other one. It's
Blackburn.
Blackburn. I think it's Blackburn. Yeah. Like some maps like that are awkward.
Speed, but I can't stand them.
Yeah. Some maps like that you might get a fast overlord scout because just the way the map is set up and designed. Yeah. But on most maps you're gonna have an overlord that's just out of range, just like this. So what you want to do right now is you want to rip off a drone, and then we're assuming you rip a drone off right now. Okay. And look at your overlord.
I don't rip it off until like.
No, I know it's total. It's okay. It's okay. But you would ideally want to rip off around 50 to 60. Ideally, probably right around like 50 to like 52-ish to 56, anywhere in there. Like right after you hit 50.
And that's to prevent conflict of taking speed and taking 3rd base at the same time.
Yes. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a 3rd base before speed. So the way it goes. is you scout what you've just scouted. If you scout this and you're like, oh fuck, no command center, put that drone back on gas. Like put a drone, like get a new drone, whatever, get something new back on gas, and this drone runs there now, and he hides, and you start speed. And if it's like proxy all in bunker rush, then obviously this drone can't do shit. Like it would already be happening to you if it was. Yeah. So you'd be like, if it was already a proxy bunker rush, you'd be like, no, get the fuck back, go to the middle line, stop, like, don't run out and die. But if it's like, let's say it's like let's say you scouted racks, and it's like, oh fuck, this guy's making 3x Reapers. I'd be like,
some crazy shenanigans like that.
Yeah,
that's exactly why I started putting my my second overlord right in front of my natural base, because I just got absolutely tired of getting bunker rushed.
No, it's good. You should be doing that. I think Zergs who scout around the map, they only do it because they're tournament players and they know how their opponent plays. Like they study their opponent. But if you're a fucking ladder player, you should 100% be sitting in front of your natural, because ladder players are random. It's literally chaotic. And you can't predict where they're going to proxy because you don't study their playstyle. So, yeah, I love that you left the Overlord there, your second Overlord there in front, and you moved it out as soon as your hatchery was about done. That was great. That's super good. But
yeah, basically the way I timed it out is once I hit about 19 supply, when I'm going to be making that my third Overlord, I'm just moving it out of there because the third Overlord's going to be gobbling up the vision that it would have had anyway.
Yeah. No, it's good. So... Again, if you saw no natural and there was something that looked aggressive, you just go back to 3 out of 3. You get speed and then you rip 2 off, and then you go back. So you get that first right away, and then you get speed. You take 2 off, and you have speed started. You're using your larva. You're making your queens, and then later on you can take a hatchery, and that's totally fine. The only
in death.
Sorry, what was the first part you said there?
No, I was saying whenever you're not currently under eminence.
Yeah, exactly. The only time you'd ever want to pull the drone back is if it was a bunker proxy. But if it was like proxy 3x Reapers, you're totally still fine to put your drone up here, like hide it up here.
Do you make spines versus the bunker rush version of the Terran cheeses, or do you not bother?
I honestly don't do it. No, I usually just pull drones. Like I'll pull drones, and then I will micro my drones, and I'll like attack him, and then I'll try to delay the bunker, deny the bunker, even maybe if the Marines are too far exposed, I'll just kill the Marines because the drone runs faster than a Marine, and you can constantly smack them, and they're pretty squishy. And I'll try not to lose my drones. And then once your Lings come out, you have so much more control. And once your Queens come out, if you're not going to make a spine, the easiest thing you can do is always make a third Queen in your main, grab this Queen immediately, and come down to the natural with it, and you have 2 Queens guarding.
Which is particularly difficult for small numbers of Marines.
Exactly. And it's also particularly difficult for a SCV to build a bunker. Because if he still hasn't built a bunker yet, you can just snipe the SCV and back off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anything that's not bunker rush, this drone can still go over here. But anything that is a bunker rush, turn this shit around and go back. And if you really feel like you need it, you can still make a spine. I'm not going to say don't do it. You can. It's just going to be safer. If you feel like you want to use it, that's okay. It's just invested, right? It's expensive to like also invest in the spine, but it's okay if you're not confident in your micro. Yeah. If your micro's not like super fucking clean at defending it, and you're always like, oh, every time I micro I fucking die, then maybe make a spine color.
My micro is like maybe at best like mid gold. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, then maybe make a spine, honestly, because it'll just help. And if you do make a spine though, do not make it there ever. Always make it in the back. Because you'll never guard it.
So in the mineral line then.
Yeah, make it like in the back of the hatchery. That way he has to really dive for it, which gives you the opportunity to smack him while he's on creep heavily, because he'll have to go to like right there to attack it, or right there to attack it. So you have a lot of creep to kill him with if he does that. And then once the spine's done, then you can uproot it and root it forward and push with the spine and stuff like that.
And sit there and smack the bunker over and over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect. And then, so going back to the gas. So if that we talked about how if it is aggressive, but if it is not aggressive, when you take the drone off gas at like 50 to 60 gas, you would still be on 2 gases by now. And then you would have, instead of 96 gas right now, you'd probably have somewhere around like 80 gas right now, honestly. Because you would have had just a little bit less trips going on. So you'd almost be at speed, but still you'd be only mining with 2, so you'd be a little bit less. And then you get the third base
a little bit faster, and you'll get speed before it. That's one of the things that I've kind of been like a little frustrated with, is that I've been this is like a build I've been doing for a very long time.
Sure.
and I just in my brain wasn't thinking, oh well, what if I just pull it out a little bit sooner? And I didn't really have like a grounds of when I should be doing that.
Yeah, no, it
At
makes
least
sense.
Not consciously, that made sense.
I feel like this is just a better modern version of ZvT for Zerg, overall. So then you would get your speed a little bit later, and as a byproduct of that, you would have enough minerals that would stack up right now. After you start your queens and spend your initial larva like you did, you would then have enough money that as your drone gets to the third, you're already going to be like at 230, 240, 250, and you just be like insta third really fast. And another trick behind this as well, that's something that would help you a lot and make it really fucking guaranteed that you're never going to get blocked by a Reaper. Don't make this Overlord until you make the third. So you
make the third Overlord?
Yeah. You could actually run your drone here to the third. Like, so you would make the third Overlord if you saw nothing, though. But if you saw... If you... Yeah, because yeah, right, 100%. Because then you need to fucking make Lings. Because you can still make what you have already. Because you haven't hit 28 supply yet. But if you saw there was nothing, you could then make an Overlord and be like, all right, I can still make units as I have right now. And then as my next round of larva starts up, my next Overlord will spawn, and I'll be not supply blocked. But if you don't make this Overlord, your drone will like get to the third, and you'll just be able to basically make you will be able to make the hatchery really quickly, maybe even right as you get there. Honestly, if you actually mineral stacked well and you weren't like fucking up like your gas and like ripping off the mineral liner or whatever. So that's gonna just help you get a third really fast and clean. And then as soon as you start the third, you drop your supply. So you then make an Overlord first, and then you make your next larva that comes out into a unit like a drone, and then your Overlord pops. And then with that next Overlord that pops, you'll probably be making another queen, another Overlord, because you're going to then have more larva that's ready to go. And if you're making queen and larva again, you're going to get really close to supply blocking again. So then your next larva after that, after you make another Overlord, goes into drones and whatever you want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it does make sense. The way I've been kind of doing it is getting speed before the third base goes down, keeping that, that drone right there is actually going to be staying like right above where the third's going to be for few seconds, probably till I think it's till about when I was actually just looking at this replay before we started the coaching session, so about 2 minutes and 35-ish.
Yeah, it's all good. You're probably gonna be taking the third at like 30 supply, I bet. And then it's
28.
Okay, and then it's just like it's one of those things that you don't need this as a priority if he's not prioritizing aggression, because you'll still have speedlings anyways if he attacks you with Hellions. Either way. It's just your third base will be up faster. You'll have more larva as a result of that. You'll have a faster drone transfer as a result of that. Faster creep as a result of that. So many advantages for defensive play as a result of that. So
for the ease of like tweaking, I'm actually gonna reorient my notes here. As a simple thing of tweaking, would it be better to just do one of the two things, pulling the drone off at 50 gas or delaying the third OV? Like which should be the
you should be doing both of those until you see this.
Okay.
And then once you see that, because again, you're not. It's not like you have 5 larvae sitting there. So now, if you were like, oh yeah, command center, I can now for sure take my third before Overlord, this is what's going to happen most of the time. But if you saw nothing, or if your Overlord that was sitting here initially saw a bunker like at 150, you know what I mean? If you saw a bunker now, you could totally make an Overlord because you already can now know, oh, there's a bunker. 100% there's not a command center there.
Yeah, he physically cannot afford it.
Exactly. So that was like the only build that you would have to like quote unquote make an Overlord as like it's a little bit late, and you still aren't really going to be supply blocked very much at all because you only have like one larva sitting there anyways when you're at 27 out of 28 as we saw a second ago, and that's just going to become an Overlord then or some shit.
Like there's one more drone that gets built up to 28 and then an Overlord immediately started after that.
The only
just use that last larva to make an Overlord after the hatchery goes down.
Yeah, and the only build that would actually become a thing for you that you'd have to respond to a little bit late with your Overlord, but it's not gonna actually disrupt your larva overall. You're not gonna larva cap by any means. Would be like the build that's like 3 Rex Reaper, or something like that. Something that's like not proxied but also is aggressive. And not an expansion.
Honestly, I've never seen it.
And exactly, that's why I'm telling you that's why you shouldn't make that your priority. It's low percentage chance for it to happen. It's like 1 out of 50 games.
Yeah.
So you want to play your odds. So ladder is odds, and you play to the odds of which is the build I'm giving you is the build that fucks over command center first the most. Or no, sorry, it's barracks into command center. It's like standard for Terran.
Yeah, the most normal build.
Yeah,
that
like 9 out of 10 Terrans will do it.
Terrans are going to be doing, yeah.
Yeah, it's very common. So yeah, and then what'll happen too is, so going back to the point when you would have it, and I can also, if you want to, I can give you an example of it when I do it for you. If you want to have a visual of me giving you a replay before we're done with this coaching lesson, I could totally do that for you too.
I would not be against that, actually, not at all.
Okay, so
and that guy's gonna sit there parked for a minute.
Yeah, and then what you'd do as well. So your third for what you did was fine, but you could definitely get it faster with what we just talked about. And then what you'd want to do as well is, if you're going to do the build I just showed you, leave 2 drones on gas even after you get circling speed. And what you can do with this then is you're making queens constantly out of your natural, 1 by 1 by 1 by 1. Your first queen at the natural pops a creep tumor. Your first queen in the main doesn't inject. But as soon as you have a second round of 100 gas off of 2 drones mining, you start overlord speed.
Oh, really?
And yeah, overlord speed. And then what that'll do for you is it'll just give you 100% guaranteed scouting. And I feel like scouting...
Yeah, overlord going over to the north of his main, so like that is be fine. Absolutely fine.
Yeah, and like the overlord speed will be finishing like a little bit after your overlord gets there above his main. And there's now there's like a very high chance it won't die. The only way it's really gonna die is if you just AFK it and let it die to Marines. Or if you let it, if a Viking comes out, because a Viking still flies faster than Overlord with speed, so it'll still kill it over time. But it's like a guaranteed scout to go, are you going BCs? Are you going Banshees? Are you going Cyclones? Are you going for 3rd Command Center? Are you going Bio 211? Like, it's no guesswork. So
and my spelling on this particular game is going to be total garbage, because
sure, I mean,
I'm going to be getting blindsided by Banshees.
This is
lucky. It doesn't matter in the long run.
And imagine it, like, just that little bit of, because again, the beautiful thing about this, about the 2 gas thing, is that it's such a it's a delayed enough overlord speed that it does not disrupt your larva and it does not disrupt your queens. So
that's one of the biggest issues that I've had with the Overlord speed builds, is that my larva production, or not my larva production, but my drone production and unit production in general, just kind of gets thrown off really badly. And
yeah,
it irritates me.
No, for sure. I mean, if you're stacking 3 on the gas constantly for all of it, you're definitely gonna have like faster than you want, like really fast and prioritized upgrades, which are gonna cost money and gas, and you're gonna lose money to mine the gas, and it's gonna fuck up your larva. But this is like it's paced out enough to where, that's also why I tell you to pull off at 50, because I don't tell you to stay on 3 until 100, because if I told you to do that, it would fuck up the pacing. So
exactly.
it paces in a really good way to where it never disrupts your build, and it gives you these things defensively and scout wise that give you such control of like what to know and what to look for, and everything just feels better for you as Zerg. Is like a clean opener. This is probably the best ladder build I've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie. This is actually Rogue's build that I use myself now. It's fucking really good.
Is that the one that you were doing in your RA? Shoot, you posted on your YouTube channel.
I think I got this one after that. I got this one from one of his GSL games. I'm pretty sure. Like later on.
The one that I saw was on.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was. I have no idea. But it's definitely a recent build. It's a very current recent build that pros have been doing. And Rogue specifically is the one I got it from. It's fucking very like for the. It's not, again, we're not doing his whole build. It's just an opener that can branch into whatever you want. It's a fucking super clean opener that has a lot of control of the game. So again, something like this too is something you definitely don't want to do. You never want to. You might have taken 2 drones off and put them on the mineral line. Definitely don't do that.
I did. I did do that, and I used to grab those and bring them down over the natural, but the thing that ticked me off is that I wouldn't be able to get back into gas quite quick enough, and leaving them in the main base 2 over was mentally easier for me to just grab 2 drones off of the mineral line and put them back into the gas. But as I said, I don't know if that's correct. Or
I don't like it, only because you're mining so shit now for a while, and these drones are getting like really weak efficiency when there's plenty of open patches here to get really good efficiency off of. Because they don't get 100% efficiency anymore, and that could be like a full minute of this, which is definitely going to be hurting your economy quite a bit right now. And also keep in mind with the build that I'm showing you, you're going to be leaving with like 2 drones on the gas anyways, so you're going to be taking your layer as well later on with 2 drones on gas. And then once you have a
is it like 4 minutes?
Once you have a fully saturated natural, you can just literally make another drone and go right click the gas. You do not have to pull off the mineral line. So like, because your gas is not at all your priority. It's really not. All you want to get is the upgrades. You want to get your layer. You want to get eventually your layer. You want to get your Ling speed, and you want to get, since with this build what we're doing is Overlord speed, because it'll give you such good awareness of what's going on in the game. I think it helps a lot at making you not die to a lot of builds. It's definitely worth doing. And then, you know, once you get to layer and really start working with layer stuff, then your gas explodes. And then you're like, okay, well, now I need the gas, but by then you're already fully saturated, fully saturated, fully saturated. And then you explode your gas pretty much, more or less. So, yeah, like, 2 drones of gas will fix your problems a lot here.
There is, like, massive banging going on in my house, and I'm wondering what my wife is doing.
I don't know. She's tearing down the art project you made. It's like, fuck this thing, it's ugly.
Your Zerg claws now have sharper veneers.
I don't know. It's totally possible. I don't even know.
I don't even know, dude. Do you want to check? Do you need a second? Or is it all good?
No, it's
okay,
fine.
Okay.
I strongly doubt my wife is tearing down my house.
Queen complete. Ready to
No, she just started a fire in the kitchen, and now she's trying to put it out, and she's using a pot to smack the fire with. And the pot is covered in oil. It's like, oh fuck, that's not gonna work. It's like one of those Sims who just starts speaking gibberish, and the fire starts spreading in the kitchen, and then the house burns down.
Yeah. Fucking. Every time I've played The Sims, I'm always wondering how they survive.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's like, well, this is demonstrating how smart you are. Okay, next.
All right, so what I think I'm going to do for you this game is I think I'm going to kind of bypass your build now, only because we're going to give you a new build anyways. And your build is going to alter, and I'm going to kind of give you ideas about how to go out about it. And I'm not going to go so super in depth with it. I'm going to go more in depth with the build I show you. But for you here, I'm going to give you ideas on how to like play the game out and what you're doing ideally. Like just getting a read on how you're playing the game. Your creep is not bad at all. Your queen creation is not bad at all. Your main base, though, I don't like. Or hold on, no, that was okay. That was okay. I remember. I remember seeing something I didn't like with your queens.
Yeah,
it was you double creep tumor at the start. You actually double creep tumor at the start here. You went creep tumor and then creep tumor, and you never injected. Don't ever do that.
Oh, you're talking about going back and inject. Yeah, I didn't with the first queen. It was creep tumor in the front, creep tumor at the back to go into the main base.
Definitely make sure you creep tumor the front to the third first for sure, but then inject, and then as soon as you inject, walk a queen to your third. So, because your third's gonna be super fast, right? So you can either, you literally can either, because you also should be starting a queen right away as soon as your first queen's done out of the natural. So you can either creep and then have your queen guarding the creep and then just go to the third when it's done and inject it right away. Or you can have a
larva is spent, right?
The what, sorry?
Start the queen immediately. So like right after the first queen spawns, drops the creep tumor, right?
Uh-huh.
As long as there's no larva sitting there, we start the queen right away.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's gonna be close either way, but yeah.
I had to stop and ask myself, did that make any sense?
No, it does. I know you're saying, do I prioritize larva or do I prioritize queen creation? And if you have like 2 larvae in the hatchery, definitely use the larva. But if you have like one that just spawned, you can totally make the queen and then come back to that larva.
Right, because it's not going to cap out at 3.
Yeah, 100%.
On that
so just because you want to do both, obviously, but it's totally fine either way. As long as you're not capping larvae, you understand. That's the biggest thing. That's like the biggest no-no to do.
Yeah. 100%. Like any time before like 5 minutes, if you're capped out on larvae, you fucked your build up really bad.
Exactly. All right. So another thing is your bait nest and your layer together is fine. That's totally cool. That's not bad. You're saturating your.
The reason I did that is because I kept forgetting my baneling nest or my lair, so I decided to put them together.
Yeah.
And
so,
here,
yeah.
cheese give me problems.
Yeah, so that's where the overlord speed will help you a lot. Definitely help you a lot with overlords because you'll see what's going on before it happens, and you'll never be caught off guard like this because it's like guaranteed scouting. The one thing I didn't like as well though is you had 20 drones on the natural for a very long time, and you're doing the same thing you did before, which is you're undersaturating and you're oversaturating. So you're making your efficiency go down a lot by doing that. Yeah. So definitely try to make sure you're on top of that more. And then the idea of how you want to do the build with gas would be, as we already talked about the 2 rule on gas, and I'll give you the guide anyways. I'll make a build for you in a second here, but
sure.
Once you fully saturate your natural, you fix that back to 3, And then once your third base is like halfway, like 8 plus, 8 minimum essentially, take 2 more gases. And then once you're at 16, take all other gases, whatever you don't have. So you're gonna be hitting 66 drones really fucking fast. And then once you're at 66 drones, that's when your layer should be finishing, roughly like somewhere around there. And then you should also be getting ready to start your evos. The way you made your Bane Nest is actually fine. I would say you could start it maybe like 10 seconds after your layer if you're strapped for cash there for a moment. But you want to definitely start the Baneling Nest a little bit after the layers because you want to be able to make Baneling speed shortly after the layer's done. And then you can also go into your 1/1 upgrades and your Hydrogen. And you're going to be doing melee Carapace, not range Carapace.
Range Carapace is pointless, especially if you're going to be going for Hydra Ling Bane, because the majority of your army is not Hydra.
Exactly. You only have like 20 Hydras max. Like 20 Hydras is like a healthy maximum, and like even like 16 would be like a healthy minimum. Anywhere in that range is good.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so like right now,
it's felt kind of late here.
yeah. Well, like right here, I would say your economy is really late because you're now you're sitting at, or let's go ahead. Sorry.
It really was. When I was actually watching this, one of the biggest things I noticed is because it wasn't even that the Banshee did a lot of damage. It was specifically that I made
a lot of lings for the Hellion.
Yeah, it was a lot of lings. It was 16 larvae worth of lings. When I was reviewing this, I thought to myself, I'm like, I actually said it out loud on the stream, is that I should have made like maybe 8 larvae worth of lings, and then to make sure that, well, okay, if he runs back in here, then I have something to be able to defend myself. But then using the rest of the larvae to make drones, and I wouldn't be exactly completely screwed, but I would at least have some degree of an economy going on.
Yeah, it makes sense. And this is a moment too where you could even be more creative with your overlords. When you have overlord speed, because you can now. I see you're doing overlord camp spots, which is nice, but you could actually have overlords like in front of your creep, in front of your creep, in front of your creep, in front of your creep.
Just extend that vision.
Yeah, and like even if a marine shows up, you can fly it back to your queens. It has speed. And another cool thing you can do is you can actually you either use your first scouting overlord if you really want to, if it's still not dead, or let's say the overlord like 8 or something like that comes out, and you're like, you know what? Go to his third base and shit creep on it. There's so much more things you can do with your overlords with overlord speed. So it gives you more range as a player to open up the game with, to be annoying and be all those kinds of things. But yeah, like if you had spores here to not take damage to the, you're all good. I do that all the time. If you have spores here to not take damage to the banshees, and then you have, you know, that you're not losing drones. If you have your queens in the right spot at the right time, and you're not using your lings to defend you're not using your lings to defend hellions, but instead you're using your queens to defend hellions. Great.
That's ideal.
Yeah, because you definitely don't want to. The last thing you want to do is be like, ah, shit, I lost a bunch of lings. Remake them.
Which in this case, we lost 20 lings plus 4 drones.
Yeah, that's brutal, right? Because then you're like having to remake a bunch of lings, and that could have been 10 drones. So
it's 16 drones killed effectively.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty shitty for you if that happens. And then, you know, just getting your base set up faster. And something that's really critical here, going into the mid game now, would be you definitely want to get your 4th base set up like you did, which is nice, after you're fully saturated on 3 bases. So it's a little lopsided because at this time it should be okay, but at your economy it's not okay because of the damage you took. So same thing with your upgrades and shit. It's like it's time wise it's good, but game wise in this particular game it's bad.
Not super great.
So the priority would be all your gas things first. Your evos, your hydrogen, your bane speed, all these things first. With your first excess,
bases, right?
Or sorry, yeah, 3 bases, yeah. And then
3 gases, I mean. So
no, off of 6 gas. That's actually off 6 gas. The only thing you do off 3 gas is a bane nest with bane speed. So you're not actually taking your evos and your hydrogen until you're already saturated on 6 gas, because you're cranking out Ling Bane like crazy with this build. And then you take with your first round of extra minerals, you take your 4th base. Your next round of extra minerals, you take a macro hatch. And then you take whatever queens you have that are extra. You're going to have a lot of queens. You should be going up to like 7 queens or so, like 8 queens. You have 7, which is fucking great. You now rip off 2 of your queens and go, like when your hatchery's like around this percentage or maybe even like a little bit more, you just shift click off a queen if you have a control group for it, which you do. And you go, all right, you go over there. You're done. You now go this way. And another queen goes over here to the main injecting macro hatch. And they become injectors. So you go from 3 injecting 3 hatch to 5 injecting 5 hatch. If you don't,
I specifically set one of my screen location hotkeys to my fourth base, so that way I could be injecting it a little bit more often.
you don't have to do that. But keep going. Sorry, finish and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, like I've to be fair, I've watched like billion hours of Bronze GM, so I've heard a lot of the reasonings that are used, and they make sense. I just never have used any of my screen locations for a rally point.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Shifting it around all the time. I don't even know why, or if that's a completely awful thing and I should be trying to keep my rally point in a specific location. I'm not certain.
The thing about rally point is you're gonna start to like it once you start actually doing multi-prong pressure, especially for doing hyperactive multi-prong pressure. Like there are builds that I'll do sometimes where I will stay genuinely on just Ling Bane for like 11 minutes. And I will go lings. And the only way I do that is I go rally point, grab, go. Rally point, grab, go. Rally point, grab, go. Rally point, grab, go.
You're not even worrying about trying.
I'm not trying to make like 12 lings and go control 1, make 12 lings, control 2, control 12 lings, control 3. I'm just grabbing rally point lings and going. So
that makes a lot of sense.
And I do that again as well against Protoss when I do burrow move roach builds. Like if you want to do a hyper aggressive build,
I've never done that.
Sure, I mean it's not really diamond level. I'm not gonna lie. It's like definitely minimum masters, probably maybe even closer towards GM. Yeah. Like it's upper masters shit, because it's you're playing the game at probably like 400 APM or like 300 APM, and you're trying to like break them apart with like 4 attacks simultaneously, and you're not microing all of them at the same time, but you're setting them up at the same time.
250.
That's okay. It's okay. 250 is fucking respectable. It's really good. So basically 5 queens injecting 5 hatches is really nice, and the only reason why I was saying you don't actually have to have a hotkey for your 4th or even your 5th, which you could even have another queen go there to inject that, is
I don't even bother with the 5th. Anything past the 4th to me doesn't really matter to have
you don't have to inject it. You don't have to inject it every cycle. You have to inject it with once in a while with queued up injects. So if you ever like you're going inject, and let's say for a moment you're like, how's the 4th doing? And let's say the queen has 125 energy. Yeah, you just rapid fire it on there. It's all on it, and you can do the same thing with the next phase. And for the next like 2 minutes of the game,
just making that sound is like the most obscene thing in the entire world when you.
Yeah, it's like, well, you just get like an extra. Let's like say it's 5 injects. That's 15 larvae per hatchery you just created by spending about 2 seconds doing that. And you don't repeatedly do it all time. The what? Sorry.
Just making a huge mess. The queen's just
going. Yeah, they're just
on the hatchery.
Just everywhere, dude. It's I mean it's this man. No, you're all good. So I mean it's just it would be huge for you. And again, you're gonna feel larva starved sometimes if you're being really aggressive with Ling styles. Or if the Terran's being super aggressive when you have Ling styles, the last thing in the world you want to have happen is have 2,000 minerals in the bank and you have no larva. And you're like, fuck.
That's happened to me quite a lot.
Yeah, so you should definitely be doing stuff like this.
Just getting completely overwhelmed, or more accurately, getting my arm wrenched where I just can't do anything because I don't have enough.
For sure. And
for example, on the west side of the map where that Overlord is, where it has the extra vision, I'm literally gonna get attacked in a location where I've been attacked quite a million times. The OV that's down over in the left side of the map, kind of all by himself.
Like over here.
Specific area I've been attacked in a million times and have died almost every single time, except for this game where I actually smashed it, mostly because that Overlord's right there.
All right. Yeah. No. I mean, it makes sense, right? Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Sorry. I was getting a message right there, and it was really distracting, and I half listened to what you just said right there. I'm so sorry. But, yeah, we're good. Sorry, dude. Yeah, that's I was like, yep.
Yeah, that's.
You're like, I poured my own soul into that vibe. I literally cared the most about that point, and you just shit on it. All right, no, sorry. If you want to tell me again, I'll totally. I'm actually fully focused again.
It's mostly it was talking about how I'm getting larva starved and it's getting attacked mostly by siege tanks, chilling out above the ramp that's right above that.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
And
yeah, like up here.
It's really irritating to break it because they just get to sit there and.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why you need so much larva to break this kind of shit. See how I'm giving you a much more realistic answer than saying yeah. No, like you get like a tank here, you get like a tank here. If you have like a bunch of Ling Bane, crashing on both sides, you could definitely deal with that. But that requires a lot of larva. So
it does.
Yeah, definitely want to make sure your build's flowing for that. But the big key about why this works so well is because your queens early game, you need a lot for 2 reasons. Start spreading your creep and defend a bunch of bullshit. But then once you have all the creep set up and now you're in the phase of the game where you're cranking out Ling Bane Hydra or whatever, your queens become way less effective. It's like, do I want to super stack like 50 creep timbers in one spot or defend with my queens when they would die now because the army size is no longer like 15 army supply attacking me. Now it's like 100 or like 90 or 80 or whatever. Queens would just walk out and insta die. So now you don't need them being so active as they were before. Now their job rotates back into injecting to flow your other style.
Queens to continue that creep spread, right?
Yeah, you would just need like literally 1, maybe 2 to fix creep that gets scanned and killed. That's it. Because
we're trying to maintain like mid-map like creep spread.
You should at that point of the game by like 8 minutes, and because we're talking like when this base is done and the macro hatch is done, that's gonna be probably like 7 minutes, 7:20, something like that. That's not all your queens though. You still have like 2 queens left over because it's only 5 of your 7 queens that are now injecting. Now this base can be built as well. And this base won't be done until probably like 8.5, almost 9 minutes, realistically. And that would be like one of your last 2, because you still have 2 left, but you take only 1 off again, and now you have a 5th hatchery, or a 5th base with now 6 queens, 6 hatch being injected like crazy. You don't have to do this, but it's definitely a thing you can do, and it gives you
enormous amounts of injects, and you don't have larva problems.
And you don't have to do all 6 hatcheries every single cycle. You just got to do your main 3 bases. That's it. And then you can just randomly do once every 2 minutes base number 4 and base number 5 and just do a bunch of queued up things and you're good to go. And then
does it matter where the macro hatch goes?
No. I would recommend highly you put it in you're using camera hotkeys, you said. So I would highly recommend you put macro hatches in a camera hotkey location. So it could go here, it could go here, it could go here. The reason why I put it in the main usually though is because this causes a traffic jam, because it'll like congest your units as they come out of your base. So what if you're getting attacked and it'll be kind of shitty? This could do the same thing. It could cause a traffic jam. What if you want to engage down the ramp and you're trying to run through a little tiny choke point now? So I don't like traffic jamming my base off. Yeah, exactly. And like this base is the least likely to be attacked unless it's a drop. And if it's a drop, it's not going to be 80 supply. You'd definitely see that ideally with creep spread and overlords. Yeah, it would be like 1 or 2 drops. And then if there's like a hatchery here, think about it too. Like, look how much room is still open if there's a second hatchery here or a second hatchery like right here. There's like so much area to still work with, and it's not a big deal. You're already having a traffic jam here anyways. That's going to be, like, if you really think about it, the amount of lings that would run into this and start making a single file line let's be more like a 4 file line. But, like, that's not going to change if you have a hatchery right there because this is still wider than the ramp. That is still wider than the ramp. So it doesn't even matter. That's why I like putting in the main personally. It just feels cleaner.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And now we'll talk about your playstyle, your multitask map choice type things.
This is the painful part for me because I honestly don't play a very interesting style. It's really boring.
That's okay.
Just do the same damn thing every time.
That's totally fine. I would say one of the things you got a problem on right now is your 2 things. Number 1, you don't have enough larva, as we just talked about.
Yeah, no. Well, I have 13 larvae, but that's not enough to spend my base.
100%. Yeah, that 13 larva is only going to spend 650 minerals if you're making links. And then the other thing is you don't have enough upgrade action going on, and you should definitely, the second you get your upgrades finished, you immediately start 2-2, and you also pair that immediately with an infestation pit, because this style.
You just answered one of the questions I had is when should I be teching Hive?
Yeah. So this style, it delays upgrades at first until you're really rich, 3 bases. But then as soon as it starts, you just fucking slam it out until you're 3-3. Like, you do not waste a beat there, because this style really needs to hit 3-3 with adrenal efficiently. Otherwise, your armies are gonna feel really crappy in the fights.
3-3 adrenal glands is like the most ridiculous bullshit ever.
Yeah, no, it makes the army like twice as good as it was before. It's actually insane. And then on top of that, once you start, so the way the build pathing would go is you would go 2-2, start infestation pit. So you pair 2-2 with infestation pit, and then you would then try to remember, okay, I have like 30 seconds from infestation. It's 36. I have 36 seconds after infestation bit starts to remember to make my hive. When you start your hive, pair that with a lurker den.
Yeah, because then the lurker den's going to be done. You're going to have lurkers on the way while you're getting the upgrades.
Keep in mind, you don't want to make lurkers until you have upgrades. So you actually don't. You're not making the lurker den to make lurkers right away. You're making the lurker den to make the upgrades right away, and you have to have a hive to do that. You don't. There's only one exception to making lurkers early, and that is if your opponent is the kind of Terran that's like, I'm gonna go for 5 racks and 3 factories with all widow mines, and you're like watching 30 Marines fight with like 15 widow mines, and you're like, Jesus Christ, this guy's making a minefield every fight, and he tries to just stand in it and lure me into it. If that's how he's playing, totally you can make lurkers early. Yeah, and if you make lurkers, use that. It's a hard counter. You just burrow lurkers there, and he can't walk into the lurkers with bio. He also can't walk into it with widow mines, and you can slowly push your lurkers forward and kill it. So that would be a great way to deal with that particular kind of a thing. But if he's not doing that exactly, if it's like 1 or 2 widow mines, or if it's tanks or Thors or something else, do not make lurkers until you have hive tech upgrades, like both of them. So you're not going to make lurkers until probably
Which
like
upgrade should I prioritize before I start?
It doesn't matter either.
Range.
Either one. They're both good in their own way. The speed allows you to be more mobile with them, so you can rotate around. You can shove with them if you need to. The range allows you to sit back and just shoot shit for the range. But the thing about it is tanks, no matter what, have more range than you anyways. Even if you have the range upgrade.
You don't want to fight under tanks. Tanks are just going to give you a really bad day.
Yeah, so like even if you have the range upgrade, it's still going to help you kill bio as it engages a little bit further out. But like tanks still rule your world there. Lurker upgrade doesn't matter either way because, again, you're not wanting to make lurkers until you have both of them anyways. Like once you have both upgrades, then you can shove lurkers into his face, and then you can shoot him as he runs away further as well. And you can also then siege his base because not only can he be really mobile by running into his base really fast, you can then siege them and knock out the wall or like a planetary at a far range further than normally you would, if that makes sense.
It does.
So yeah, it's just you don't want to prioritize lurkers here. You definitely want to prioritize Ling Bane Hydra for longer, and then once you start making lurker, you're going to be honestly making lurker probably around like 14 minutes, not like 10 minutes or 11 minutes, like right when you hit a hive tech. So it's going to be a little bit later. You'll probably max out like twice with Ling Bane Hydra before you start making lurker, unless it's mass widow mines.
I've been making lurkers a lot earlier than I needed to.
The thing about making lurkers fast is if you make lurkers against siege tanks when you don't have hive tech upgrades, and you're like, let's go lurkers, you're basically, I just bit my tongue right there, Jesus.
Don't do that.
You're basically like countering yourself. You're actually you're putting yourself in a situation where it's literally like a fucking pair of scissors just trying to kill a rock. Because tanks will ruin your world if you're walking in slower, if you're burrowing slow, and then if your range isn't even as good. Because if you have like 8 lurkers engaging, you will honestly lose probably like 6 of them before you even get a shot off.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that. That's awful. That's definitely not good for you. And same thing as well. If let's say you engage with lings first, and you like do it perfectly, but you still have bad lurkers because they don't have hive tech upgrades, you'll lose like. With hive tech upgrades, you'll maybe only lose like 10% of your Ling Bane before your lurkers start shooting shit because they run so fast and they burrow so fast. But if you don't have those upgrades, you'll lose like 40% or something like a fucking much bigger amount before you burrow and shoot something. So you're just going to take way more losses if you try to fight with bad lurkers. You'd be better off not even using them and just having more swarming Ling Bane Hydra without.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it makes your army more effective. So another thing to understand about this army that is really, really tactically important to know. At this point in the game, you need to do one of 2 things. This is mandatory. There is. I'm telling you right now, there is no way around this. It might sound difficult, what I'm about to say, but you have to do this, and it only becomes more prevalent the higher your MMR goes.
You're talking about counterattacks.
Yes, I am. That's 100% what I'm talking about. You already knew it.
I haven't been playing this game for very long, have I?
You have to do this because if you don't ever counterattack, you will hit brick walls repeatedly in MMR, and you will always feel like the game is harder than it should be.
And that is exactly where I have been over.
Yeah.
I'd say probably my viewers can probably tell me that over the last like 6 months, I think
Yeah.
it feels like it's been a wall right around 3,600.
For sure.
And I'll take a crap ton of losses and drop back down to like 33 where I'm at.
Counterattacks aren't that hard to do if you know how to do it. So, in general, go ahead and tell me really fast. Do you basically just use? And if this is yes, again, I'm not gonna say it's what that's bad. Just if it's a yes, that's totally fine. Is group 1 for you everything?
Generally speaking.
Okay, that's fine.
2 and 3 are for 3 would be for specialized units.
Okay.
And then 2 would be for
Like mutas.
mostly flyers.
Okay, that's fine. So group 3 is gonna be your
counterattacks. So like counterattacks would usually go on 3 or 2.
I'm gonna put it on 3 for you, because if you ever want to transition this into Mutiling Bane, if you feel more confident, then this won't fuck you in the future. It's because mutas will be your 2. So group 3 is your group now, okay? So what you're gonna do every fucking like 1 minute in the game, okay? Like we're talking about like 9 minutes is the start, and every single 1 minute that goes by, try to do this at least once a minute. You're going to go literally like this, green box a chunk of links, and do not get over 1 page. Try basically, this is the sweet spot, okay? If you get anything between 16 to 24, good job. So if you have anything that's like this, grab more, like shift click some more in there. So you don't have like 14, 12, whatever. But if you have anything like this, try again. Do not fucking send 2 pages or 3 pages at your opponent. That's way too much. Just get...
And then like alt 3 it off.
Yeah, exactly. And then you hit alt 3, and then all you do is you go to the other side of the map of where the Terran is going. Or you go to the other side of the map of where you are going. You always go opposite of wherever the fight is going to happen. And you counter the mineral line.
You want him to prioritize where his army is going to be, and then stab him in the back.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's 2 ways to set this up. The best way to set it up is to this works if the Terran is fully consolidated his army into one spot. Okay, so if the Terran if the Terran's army is fucking huge, this is not a big army right here. I'm not going to lie, that army doesn't look that big. But if the Terran's army was also like 40 more Marines here, if it was a really big push, there's 2 ways to set up the fight. You either do counter first, army second, or you do army first, counter second. If the opponent is making a small push, or if you are pushing into the opponent with a small defense, like if he's split all over the place, if he's got half his army here, half his army there, always do army first, okay? Because your army is not going to be what you're going to micro. Because your army is going to easily win that fight.
You want to just be able to 1A it and move on.
Yes, your army is going to win the fight so fucking easy because you have way more than he does in that fight. So you don't want to micro something that doesn't need to be microed. And what you do instead is if he's spread out, you then micro your counterattack and you make sure you kill as many SCVs as possible. And then as soon as that's over, go right back to your army and just check on it and be like, are we winning? Are we losing? Should we pull back? Should I kill this base and then pull back, or what's going on? And that's that.
Should I give two shakes of a rat's ass if I put banelings in that counterattack, or should I try to be?
You should actually always be adding in
banes.
You should. It doesn't matter if you grab banes, existing banes in there. Just trying to make sure it's not all banes. I would say a good number to have of banes to Ling ratio would be like, if you have 20 units in there, it'd be like maybe 14 Lings and 6 banes, or like 13 Lings and 7 banes.
Right.
For like your average counterattack. You want you just want like 2/3 Ling, 1/3 Bane in your counters. The only exception to this rule would be if you're literally counterattacking a planetary for the purpose to kill the planetary, then I would say maybe grab like 30 Lings. So you're actually going to go a little bit over 1 page then. This happens usually around a little bit later than now, because right now you're going to be dealing with mostly orbitals at this point in the game. But a little bit later on, you can go up to like 30 if you have the intention to go, okay, well now I'm going to make like 20 Banes and like 10 Lings, or maybe like 23 Banes and like 7 Lings. And the only reason why you do that is you lead with Lings, so they take the planetary shots, and then you fucking wreck the planetary with 20 plus Lings, or 20 plus Bane Lings. And you'll always kill it if you do that. So
makes sense.
Counterattacks are huge. You need to do it, and it's so small. And I'm telling you these numbers because we're talking like literally 12 supply, 10 supply, 14
Nothing
supply.
That's really gonna make a difference.
Exactly. It's so fucking small. It's so tiny of your overall supply, but it could change the game so much if you get a successful counterattack. So like I said before, you prioritize army first, and then you don't micro. You attack first and don't micro your army, and then you do micro your counter if the Terran is spread out like crazy. Now, if the Terran is not spread out at all and he's very condensed in one spot, you prioritize counterattack first, move command like in the middle of the mineral line, and forget about it. Then at the same time, as soon as your counterattack is engaging into his base, as soon as it's like starting to be seen, you micro your army and you jump on his ass. Because what'll happen then is you cause misdirection and you increase the odds.
Because now he's looking over.
Exactly. Like if he doesn't move, you're gonna have a way better trade than, like the difference of him looking at the fight and you keeping that army that was your counter and your main army and just engaging with full army versus full army and he micros. You're gonna get a worse trade doing that than if you make him look elsewhere and he doesn't micro at all and you only have like 15 supply less in your army.
That sounds like shaking your hand in one direction and then hooking him with the left.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, it's huge. If a lot of Terrans actually get fucked by this. It happens even in GM all the time. You will, if the Terran doesn't move their Marines and you just get these like stacked up juicy Baneling hits, you're having like 8 Banelings kill like 35 Marines. And it's much different if you're having 8 Banelings.
Amazing.
Exactly. That's like as good as having Banelings burrowed underneath Marines and blowing them up as well. If he just stacks up and dies. So it's so fucking good when you do that. So those are the 2 strategies of which you're going to be using to attack your opponent with Ling Bane Hydra throughout the game, and it's going to never stop.
Cyril versus Bomber level Bane hits.
Yeah, man, it's going to be going to be super good. And then the only thing you're going to do after that is you have the option then to add on ultras or you can do both or one or the other lurkers. I would say ultras are a really solid choice to use if you just want to like fucking smash some shit down. That's totally fine. And then lurkers are really good to use if your opponent is not going really siege tank heavy. If they're like lurkers definitely are going to get kind of countered by a lot of tanks. You have to use Vipers then too, and that's a whole other ball game of shit you got to do. I would say maybe wait till like Masters for that. It's kind of difficult.
I've argued with plenty of people who've come into my stream saying, "Well, you should just build Vipers." And I'm just like,
yeah, it's harder.
What you're saying?
It's definitely requires.
It's really hard to control this.
It requires a lot of timing, like to be perfect for those things to work properly. Yes. So ultras would be probably the easiest option you could do, but lurkers would be really good too. Like if the Terran's playing really passive, you could definitely set up with lurkers too. And as long as he doesn't have again like 13 tanks or something, lurkers would do great. Like if he's got just pure bio, like Marine Marauder. So that's probably the best way to explain it. If he's got a lot of tanks, ultras would be better. Like mass Ling Bane and just like maybe 5 ultras would be better. But if he has a lot of Marauder, lurkers would be better. So it depends on if he's like.
Is there like a tipping point for the number of tanks where your lurk?
I would say like 8, like probably like 8 tanks. 8 tanks. Yeah. Like it's because every tank is 3 supply, and you're gonna definitely see like. This guy's got mass fucking bio running around with Stimpak. It's a big blob. Or you're going to be like, okay, this guy's...
It's not going to be, okay, well, he has like 3 or 4 defensive tanks. Or he's pushing with 3 tanks.
You'll also see it in the way he moves his army. People who go pure bio are way more aggressive, and people who go tanks are way more assertive about setting up tank locations.
Right.
So if it looks tanky, you go ultras with, like, again, don't make mass ultras, just make like 5. And if he goes bio heavy, you could definitely add in some maybe 8 lurkers. And but here's the thing, keep this in mind. If you make lurkers, make sure you rebuild hydras to go back to what you were at before.
So that way you have your anti-air, so you don't just get fucked.
So you don't
over by
exactly.
A whole bunch of,
you don't get fucked by liberators, exactly. You don't get fucked by medevacs just overwhelming you, dropping you,
going around you, just like yeah.
You gotta try to maintain like 16 to 20 hydras while you have lurker.
Blast through the rest of this. Some garbage going on.
Yeah.
So like one thing that I really don't like about how I defended that, just looking at it right now, it was a whole lot of 1Aing all the way across the map.
Yeah.
And to the other side of the map rather than.
I can tell you something right here too. I'll go back to that fight right when it happened.
Yeah,
so
because that was really not great.
So when a Terran pushes you like this is a big sign. And you also saw it on the minimap too with your queens and your creep and everything.
Just barely.
But if you ever see a Terran push you like this and it's a tiny army, and keep in mind, like it's exactly what I told you to do. This is why I said it's mandatory that you need to learn how to counterattack and get good with it. Because the key I told you was always go opposite sides of the map. And that's exactly what he's doing. Notice how he's attacking you, not in the middle. He's attacking you on the far left side, and it's also a tiny ass army. I would say if this would not be a bad idea to, you could honestly, if you're not ready to counterattack, be like, okay, how about I grab a big chunk, or like maybe like 40 supply worth, or like not the 40 supply, like 40 units, which would be like 20 supply worth, and be like Alt 3 and go over here right now. First defend the counter, and then I'll lose some units, and then I'll kill his units, and then I'll go counter him after that. Something like that would be totally like. It's just identifying what's happening in the situation, which is this is not real. There's probably a second attack somewhere else.
Because that's a tiny army.
Yeah, no, totally is. And then you can also add in like at the stage that you're at too, where you have a good drone count. You could by all means add in a few static D structures too, if you really wanted to, and then make sure you just rebuild the drones.
I think there's a certain point where I just go spore spine at all of my bases and then just.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Like that spore just killed the medevac, so that now no evacuation and they all died. That was nice. But you didn't have units there though, so that was a little bit annoying for you for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Just a smidgen.
You just got to be more comfortable about not having everything on one control group now. Is the biggest point I'm trying to make here. Like you got, and here's actually a crazy thing. Okay, this is crazy talk, but it's actually pretty legit. Don't be afraid as well to pretend like if you realize a Terran player is a drop heavy kind of a Terran and he never really pushes you with one army. Don't be afraid to leave unhotkeyed lings in your main, and then unhotkeyed lings in the other complete other side of the map. Like, we're talking like 20 lings
so
and 20 lings. Yeah. And then if you see on the minimap 2 medevacs fly in, you just green box and go to the medevacs. Like, attack him as he's starting to drop your base.
And have them sit there and just go like, hey, we're waiting for you.
Yep. And then if he leaves, you just leave him here. Because guess what? Like, if he's again, this is identifying he's a drop heavy Terran. If he just keeps dropping, he's never having a big army because he always has a lot of supply in drops. And if you match that supply in ground like just defense, you'll shut him down. And if you add like maybe a spore, and some lings, and maybe a spine, he can't do shit. Like it's so hard for him to find drops then. And you can always rotate it.
I've actually gone and taken like maybe 5 hydras or something like that, and put them on patrol on the far flanks, and just sit there and blast down medevacs before they can even go.
That can happen sometimes. I think that's a little scary to do with Hydra because if he actually catches like a moment where he gets through and he actually lands it down, 5 Hydras will die.
Then it's really scary.
Yeah.
Then it's scary.
And then you have to then pull lings again, and you're like, fuck, and now all my drones are dying again.
Yeah.
All right.
You're under attack.
Maxed out.
Mineral field.
Yeah.
Come on, go.
And then this is when, well, I mean, this is when you'd want to be doing a counterattack. Because if you just go in one attack, like look at his side bases. This base is nothing, but like, so there's nothing over here at all, right? But now if we had a counterattack coming this way and you went through this way, and now let's say you wanted to go to the nearest next base if this doesn't exist.
Which is natural.
Yep. There's nothing. There's one bunker, and there's a bunch of SCVs. And then there's new units. You could actually be killing units out of rally that pop out of the new racks, or you could kill a bunch of SCVs again, or you could even get into a space and kill upgrades, or do something super severe. Kill add-ons like reactors, straight up kill the starport, kill a factory. Stuff like that would be huge, but this is so much damage you could do to this guy. You could even kill the command centers if he's not paying attention. You just lift it off. This could actually cripple him in the game. And if at this point in the game too, I would say once you get hive tech and you get adrenal glands, if you haven't yet gotten it, which would be okay, always try to remember to get burrow with adrenal glands, and it gives you the option to do shit like when you get into someone's base with a counterattack. Let's say you see Terran coming in and you go, you know what, burrow my lings. And he scans, and you're like, nice scan.
Not there,
well, yeah, exactly. You could make him force scans because you could burrow lings. And if you want to be really fucking sneaky, you could burrow half your lings. As half your lings die, he leaves, you up burrow again, and you have a new counterattack in his base again. I'm not gonna I can't even begin to tell you how many times Terrans fall for that. And even if it's just like 5 lings, just 5 lings. With 3/3 adrenal.
With 3/3 adrenal,
they are going to fucking destroy an entire mineral line. Yeah, even if all the SCVs are like, attack! SCVs do not get damage upgrades, and you get armor upgrades, so your lings are taking 2 damage per hit, and you're fucking annihilating his SCVs. Yeah, so like these things are huge. You could do so much with this stuff. The sky's the limit, and you can even burrow a ling like at a third base or at the new base and be like, you can't land here.
At the new base, you get a free scout off if he's trying to take it.
Yep, and you also force him to. It causes so much problems for Terran too, because now he's got to come back, he's got to scan it, he's got to get rid of it, he's got to set it up, and what if he comes back at the wrong time and he gets attacked over here? Like it's just more fucking annoyance for Terran to deal with. But if you just do,
to be honest, this fight here doesn't exactly go very well for me.
oh, I know
to
it
be
doesn't.
honest.
The reason why it doesn't go well for you is because you're coming in from mostly one angle, and you're also coming in with all your Hydras in the front and all your Banes in the back.
Yeah, I totally screwed that up. I realized it like halfway through the fight, and all my Banes are sitting there clumped up around the Hydras, pissing off.
Because what's happening is they're staggering in, and then the Terran's actually taking good trades here.
Yeah.
And then you don't have enough to really bust the planetary anymore. Or I mean, if you kill the SCVs with the Banes, kind of.
I think I tried to suicide it right on there, and just barely got it, but like
everything died.
ends up dying.
Yeah. And imagine if you would have done a counterattack at the same time, and you could have. I feel like the Lings on the side that ran over here didn't do anything, right? They just fucking died, ran in and died before.
They just immediately died.
And if those were over here and denied this from happening, and were over here and broke into this and killed the bunker with only 4 Marines in it, and you killed a bunch of SCVs here, even if you just killed this and this, your Remax would be untouched because he'll never match you again. So you have to counterattack.
He's broke. He's immediately broke.
That's why counters in games, they're so mandatory for this to work. Because if you don't, if the problem as well is if you let a Terran have equal economy to you as Zerg, if you both have 80 SCVs but he has mules, he's actually going to be overwhelming you over time if you never counter. So you have to. That's why you have to counter.
Mules are the most ridiculous thing in the entire world. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, so I think I kind of got an idea here to help you as much as possible from this game particularly. I think the best thing we can do now is I'll give you like a 6-minute guide on the opener of the build and how it goes, and from there it kind of just goes down to like what we already talked about throughout this game, which is like getting 5 queens on 5 hatches and just making a bunch of Lings and blah blah blah. But the first opener is huge.
I have one final question.
Sure.
Mostly.
Okay.
What the fuck do I do against mech?
Roaches.
I honestly have never beaten mech once.
Okay, so I got the perfect answer for Diamond. It's really easy. Open roaches with roach speed, with creep spread, and then like do a similar build to what we just did here, but instead of making a Bane nest, make a roach warren. Get roach speed, make enough roaches to make yourself feel safe. It depends on if he's going cyclones or not or whatever. But I would say probably
the cyclone version is the specific one that I struggle very
You're
hard
probably gonna want to make like 20 roaches against that, honestly. And you want to always fight on creep and run him off creep and focus. Like when you let him get on creep and then run at him because you run a lot faster than him when he's on creep and focus fire down cyclones. And then when he gets off, spread your creep again and don't chase him. And just keep doing that over and over and over. And then turn that into going into. I would say you could honestly turn it into going into. Hydralisk and Swarm Host, and I would say a good healthy amount of Swarm Host. Then eventually lose all the roaches, and the reason why is because if he goes Battlement or if he goes Cyclones all game, you can still beat Cyclones playing like this. But I'm not gonna lie, it's not the best thing to do against someone who goes Cyclones all game. If someone goes, let me just say this, okay, because this is kind of important to know. If he goes Cyclones all game, just that's all he ever does. You could get Burrow move and max out on roaches and burrow under him, and then up burrow when he gets on top of you and kill him. Easy peasy. And because
really
cyclones can't do shit if they're already in range of you. Like they'll just die. They're like made of paper. They have to kite to be effective. But if he's not going cyclones all game, let's say he either opens with it or he just doesn't do it and he goes different types of mech like Thor, Hellbat, Tank, whatever. Go Hydra Swarm Host, make 16 Swarm Host and max out on Hydras.
16 Swarm
Yep.
Hosts. Wow.
And then every time you fight. Every time you fight, you just you follow Locust in. You like have the Locust do damage. You follow it in. You kill shit. You back off.
Do you ever bother with say Nidus when you're doing that style?
No, it's not. Nidus Locust is a much earlier game. It's like a 2-base thing. This Swarm Host Locust thing I'm telling you to do, or Swarm Host Hydra thing I'm telling you to do, is
it's just a deviation from what we were just talking
yeah, well, you're on like 4 bases with it or like 5 bases with it. It's like a macro build.
Right.
So the Terran's going to have a lot more going on there too. And you're not going to be able to like Nidus him down as easy. It's going to be a lot harder to make that work.
Am I trying to like surround when I'm doing that? Should I be
no,
trying to surround?
Just follow your Locust in.
Locust, or just get him close enough to where you're gonna land down onto.
It's so easy if you just say, okay, I'm near his base. I'm not super far away, so I'm not gonna just expire. You get close to his base, but you don't die either. You're like at the range where you're not gonna get killed, but you're right there. And then you launch Locust at him, and then you follow them in with Hydras. You do as much damage as you can until Locusts are gone. Back up, do it again. And you don't lose shit, and Terran loses so much every time you do this. Especially if you're good at macro, and you can do it faster. And then you can always bounce around too. You could be like, I'm going to hit his 4th. Now I'm going to hit his 3rd. Now I'm going to hit his 4th. Now I'm going to go behind his main base with 1 round of Locust. Now it is 4th. Now it is 3rd. Like, be creative about how you want to do it. It's fine. If you feel like you're crushing him every time, you can just keep hitting the same base over and over and crush him repeatedly, and then he'll die. It's so easy to go Locust, or to go Swarm Host Hydra against Mech if you're not confident in your micro, to be like super crazy.
Yeah, I'm really not confident in my micro. Like, as I said, my micro maybe, you know, maybe saying gold is a little too disingenuous. Maybe it's more of like high platinum, maybe.
Sure,
but
it's okay.
But I'd say my macro is probably a lot closer to where I currently am ranked.
Yeah.
But obviously, since nobody in Diamond is anywhere close to being extremely proficient, there's obvious things to be made better.
Okay. Yeah, no, it makes sense. You'll definitely get better over time anyways, as you practice more.
Right.
All right. So this is the build. I'm going to show you up to 6 minutes and just give you like the idea of how it should look as an opener.
Sounds good.
All right. So first Overlord, we can go to the ramp, and then we can kind of go back. Easy peasy.
I never put my OV on that pillar.
You're afraid it's going to die?
It always dies.
Sure.
They can get vision.
If you have Overlord speed, like the only way he's going to have vision though is if he gets like lifts a command center or something like that. But you keep in mind too, with this build, you're going to get Overlord speed super fast.
They can get vision from the main base. Like a marine or a reaper parked up on the
if you
on the
stand
top there can actually see it.
I don't believe you. If you stand, if you go to the left,
promise you.
I'm pretty sure it's happened to me before too, honestly. But yeah, I feel like it's still worthwhile. I don't know. If you do whatever you like, go like this, then you'd be like, go to his base and then go up here. That's totally fine too.
Yeah, that's honestly what I do. I just keep it over there.
That's fine. It's not a big deal. Because you're gonna scout anyways with you're gonna scout anyways with Overlord speed, so that's totally fine.
Yeah.
All right. So now I'm just making drones, stacking my mineral line to 16 as fast as possible. I should stack my patches to 2 per patch as quick as I can as well. And then make my gas. I still have 3 on one of my patches, so I need to fix that. And we're good. Take my spawning pool as a priority right now.
Yep.
And then make my drones go into my gas.
Does it really matter whether or not you like click the larva into the gas or whether or not you just rallied the hatchery down?
I just do it like this because now I've already done it and I don't have to touch it again. Instead of having to wait for it and then do it. And then a third drone's going to go to third base. And this will be the one I'll be showing you like as if I'm going to be playing against a command center first, regardless of what the guy does. So I'll be going for like the hatchery before Overlord. Okay, and then I'm not making Overlord right now. I'm making one more drone.
Excuse me.
It's all good. And now I'm gonna take one guy off gas. I took off 60 at this game, so which is fine. It works. Now I make 2 queens and 2 lings. And now I'm gonna get to my third, and I'm gonna prioritize. I have no larva right now, and I see the base here, so I'm gonna do whatever I'm gonna do with my Overlord. And now I'm gonna prioritize my third first. Make my third.
Jeez, it's getting it down like 15 seconds faster than I got.
And then you can make Overlord speed. And then you can make a drone. Or sorry, you can get Zergling speed. And then you can get a drone. And then you can get an Overlord. And then you can make another drone. So you can spin your larva optimally. So you're not going to larva cap. And now we spin a drone again. And now
make another Overlord here at 28.
And then we make another. Yes, yep, exactly. We make an Overlord right now because now we're going to make our queen while we make our larva into units here. And we don't want to larva cap again. So spin your larva down initially a little bit. We just did. We spin down our larva pretty low to 1 now. Now we make a queen pretty fast. And now we're not going to supply block because we made our second Overlord again. Like you were saying, which is correct. And then we go back to droning again. And now I'm going to inject this hatchery one more time. And I'm going to move over to my third right after. And I'm going to make Overlord speed in the main base. So inject, move queen to third. Spec creep. Keep making drones. And now I can start another.
That second inject is huge. Like, that is thinking about that logically. That is really huge.
It's so much more, so much faster.
That much more larva, yeah.
It's expedites your build so much quicker in the game.
Should I even really care about trying to get creep into my main base, or is
not right away? You spread creep in your main base with your like 4th queen essentially, because he can't rush you this fast. Especially if he has a command center.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna saturate our third. So we're making queens out of both hatcheries of natural and third at the same time. This one's gonna start right now when I can afford it. And now we can scout his base. You see how my Overlord like arrives pretty much, and then now I have Overlord speed. We're spinning all of our larva.
You're getting in there right around 4 minutes, and you should be able to see anything that he's doing.
And now I have fully saturated my main here again with gas because I'm fully saturated here. And I can scout his base and see whatever the guy wants to do. He's going mass fucking Marines. It's all good. Now I can take my lair around this time. And now I can take my other gases with a Bane nest because I'm over an 8 at this base. Doesn't matter. I don't care where you put the Bane nest. It's fine. Keep making drones. All right, actually, at this point, for real, you gotta make lings. I should have told you that too. So we need to, like, as soon as you.
Usually, like what I've been doing is I've been making lings, like say 8 to 16 lings sometime around the time that speed finishes.
Yeah, I would say you can like make. Yeah, that's good. Make some lings around that point in time. That would be very, very good because that way you're not gonna get so vulnerable to like Hellion Harass and shit like that.
Right.
Okay, and then we're making 2 more queens. And we are supply blocked for a second, but we have overlords in production already, so they should pop soon.
Yes.
And we can now take our creep tumor in the main and get that going. Third base is fully saturated. Main base, we just need to take the last of our gases here, and we're good to go. And now our drone count at 5 minutes and 13 seconds is already at 62. Now we're about to be at 65, 66. We're already at 518. We fully saturated. And you were at like 650 at this point in time.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna take our we're gonna take our Hydra Den. Now we're gonna take our double Evo. We're starting our Bane speed wherever our Bane nest is. There it is. And we're saturating our gases properly. Fix. Fix this. Put one off and put it back on the middle lane because we'll fix the gas with a new drone. Fix this right here. Fix that gas. And now we can start our 4th base. And our money's getting kind of high, so we fix 4th. We fix this base. And we're good to go. And now we can start making more lings for now. And use our queens that we have to, defend ourselves. Which is totally fine. And this is that point in the game when you're going to be just cranking lings for a little while. For some reason, my hatchery didn't start there. I don't know why.
It's annoying.
And then we have double upgrades starting. We have Hydra upgrades starting. We have Baneling speed almost done. We're making Banelings. We can make an Overseer, so we can deal with like Widow Mine bullshit or whatever. Keep spreading that creep.
Right.
And then at this point in the game, this is when you would, after you have like a decent amount of units like we have right now, and your 4th base is, should be almost done now, honestly, because it should be like my hatch here. You now start a round of drones for your
for the 4th base.
For the 4th
so that way
base.
when it finishes,
yep.
You're gonna get drones on it.
And then you take 2 queens, like we said, off of your hatcheries right now to go get ready for extra injects for 5 queen, 5 hatch. And now we already have creep going in every direction, so we just maintain. And we add still with 2 queens on top of that with what we have. And we're good to go. And now we have all those drones going to our 4th base already. And we have a good amount of Ling Bane to guard ourselves if the guy pushes. We could also do another scout in his base if we wanted to with an Overlord just checking. This is when you could also do shit like this, what we talked about, how we could be like, let's put an Overlord at his 4th or his 3rd and just shit creep on it. Yeah, like there's all these options you can do at this point in the game, but definitely don't like try to attack him. Definitely try to set yourself up more for the future of the game. Right. And then
we're not trying to go for like a pseudo 3 base all in.
Definitely not.
Right now.
And now we have 86 drones. This is great. Now we're making Hydras because we have a great economy, and our Hydras are also getting really well upgraded. They already have the range. Now they're getting speed. Don't care which one you start
you're
first.
You're not making Hydras until you actually have upgrades.
Yeah, we're not rushing Hydras right away. We're not prioritizing them. And now I'm already done making Hydras because I just made like 18 of them or 20 of them or some shit. Now I go back to making Lings, and now we're going into saturating our base at our 4th base, and every hatchery is just cranking. And we can even take one of our queens off and put it to the 5th base. And now we have 1 queen left that's just going to fix creep whenever we get attacked. And just constantly keep putting a few more tumors out. We could even have the queen here just be like, how about you do 2 more tumors and then come back to the hatch. And that's totally fine. And now 2-2 starting. Start infestation pit right away. And then keep injecting your hatcheries. And now we're going to max out really fucking quick. We're going to max out probably by like 8 minutes and like 40 seconds. And that's going to be when Hydra speed's done.
I don't think I've ever maxed out quite that quickly.
This is going to be a good quota for you to try to do then. It's gonna be something you can strive for. And this is with every upgrade too. This is with all upgrades and everything. And we're at 190 supply, or 188, sorry, at 840. We're just waiting on our last little bit of larva here to pop off our hatcheries. There's coming some of it right there. And right now we're maxing out. Right about now. We matched out in the 854, and now we can go do whatever we want. Hydra speed's already done. Hive is starting now. We start Lurkerden with it. Fix drone count in main. Send to the 4th base or 5th base. Do some shift injects. We can even take another base while we're at it, because we're gonna lose drones that are natural here pretty soon too, and do whatever we want. And now from here, you could be like, same thing, what I told you in the game. Be like, grab some lings, try to grab like a page and a half, like a little bit more than almost a full page. Alt 3 that shit for yourself, and then go with your army somewhere else. And make sure your army too as well is like 1/3 Baneling and like 2/3 Ling with like 16 to 20 Hydras.
But you're not building the Banelings until you're ready to fight, right?
The Bane, yeah, you want to, there's like a little bit of Banes to support your army, but do not prioritize them over Hydras and over upgrades.
Right. Because otherwise you're going to be totally screwing over your regular gas.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff. You're gonna put like a hiccup in your build if you do that. Like prioritize Banes first, and then just sit there with Banes in your base. And then if we fight, if you look at like, so I know you're not in the game right now. You're watching it from my perspective, but if we were to fight, and
well, I am technically in the game right now, but I'm watching.
I know what you mean. The only thing I'm trying to say is you can't see my larva right now. But
yep.
if let's say this fight goes semi well for you, you're like, all right, attack here and attack here at the same time. You got a counterattack going into the guy's third, and you got a main attack going into the guy's natural or whatever. And let's say you lose the entire army. Look how much larva we can remax with right now. I have 50 fucking 6 larva.
Crap ton.
And I have injects.
Very big bank.
I still have injects rolling as well in the hatcheries. So I already have 56, and I can have even more when these injects pop off. Again, it's fucking crazy. And I had another hatchery coming up too. So it's all good. And then you could at this point too.
I'm just it's really burpy right now.
No worries. You had Chipotle or some shit. I understand. You can just start.
Listen, man.
You can just start.
Listen, okay. That's still your fault. I want you to know that.
Yeah. You can start 3/3 now. You can start adrenal glands. You can start lurker upgrades. Start burrow. All these upgrades get going now, and then you can even start an ultralisk cavern, and then you have all this fucking range to do whatever you want with the build.
Do you think there's any scenario where you're going to be taking up to Broodlords, or is that really not a thing?
Not honestly, not very often. The reason why is because Broodlords have so much counters to them now. Like Blizzard kind of nerfed Broodlords into the ground. Yeah, that's kind of
just Thors.
Yeah, Thors, Vikings, Ghosts. There's so many things that just fuck Broodlords nowadays. It only would ever make sense to go Broods if the Terran player had very bad economy and he was going for a mass siege tank based all in. Like if he was like 2 base tank all inning you because you killed all of his expansions and he was like had mass tanks and you guys were kind of stalemating out a little bit and you were like yeah, and you were like maybe I'll get some Broods now. Like maybe I have time to get Broods. But that would also make more sense if you already opened with a Spire. Because like maybe you had like mutos or some shit and like maybe or yeah I don't know. It's not practical.
Just a question. I've played around with Broods and most of the time I just find out that they die before I can actually deliver the killing stroke.
It's hard to use them honestly. They're not the most practical units nowadays. But yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Hopefully that. Nice. Yeah. Any questions about what we just talked about?
Let me see if I had anything. We're taking gases 4 through 6 once we're fully saturated on 3 bases, and taking our 4th base after evolution chambers and all that jazz. We'll actually be going Hive as soon as 2/2 gets on the way, getting all that jazz going on. What are the better choices for Hive techs? We talked about that was Ultras and Lurkers, and doing versus mech just make a lot of stuff and try to crush them.
Yeah, like roaches initially into Hydra Swarm Host would be really easy. Roaches keep you safe versus Hellion Cyclone, and then yeah, Hydra Swarm Host allows you to push Terran.
Yeah. Mostly because you're throwing away free units. Kind of a little bit more interesting to play with rather than the Swarm Hosts of yesteryear in Heart of the Swarm, where it's just like, oh, well, we're gonna make tons of Swarm Hosts and
just let them do their thing all the game. They just sit there and turtle.
I fucking hated that strategy. Playing it was miserable.
I kind of liked it. I kind of liked shoving aggressive creep spread and aggressive static D forward and then planting my Swarm Host at the edge of my static D every time and then just like slowly pushing them to death. I thought that was kind of sadistic and good. But yeah, it was boring as fuck though.
Does that say anything about you, by the way?
Yeah, I don't know. I like complete control in StarCraft.
There you go. It's showing your dominance.
Yeah, that's why I like it.
A wise man once said that.
All right, man. Well, I will upload this by tomorrow for you, and then I'll give you the VOD in Discord as well, so you'll have it by then.
Can I have this little sketch replay?
I'll definitely save it too, and I'll send it to you.
Sweet.
And anyone who wants this as well, anybody who wants to replay, I'll tell you what. I'll save it right now in the VOD so you can see what it's called. I'll name it after you. I'll call it the Victus game replay of ZvT, or yeah, Victus ZvT. We'll call it Victus ZvT. That's what it's gonna be called. So you guys can search into my Discord for that. It'll be in the SCT Replays channel if anyone is watching this on YouTube, and then my Discord has a link down below. But Victus, I'll send this to you in about 5 seconds. And yeah, guys, Victus, thanks for doing it, dude. I appreciate it. And
absolutely,
bro, have a good rest of your night.
I still got how many? I still got about an hour and 20 minutes of streaming.
Yeah. Maybe take a quick 5-minute break and make sure your wife didn't smash your favorite
break the house
chair or something.
Yes.
All right, man.
Go get something to drink as well. I'm out of water.
All right, take it easy, dude. Have a good night.
All right, man. I'll see you later.
See ya. All right, guys. Thanks for watching as well. I appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. That has been a diamond level. That has been a diamond level lesson with Victus. So for ZvT specifically. So thanks, guys. Good luck to you if you want to attempt to do what we just talked about. And good luck in your own games. I'll see you in the next video, whatever it might be. Until next time, guys, take it easy. Much love. And as I was saying before, SCT Replays right here. Boom. Bottom of the channel. There it is, boys, right there. There you go. The Victus game. You guys can search it up, and it's right there. All right. So if you want that replay for a guide, just like I gave him. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.